Hello, family, and welcome to Thriving Couples by the Dindies, the place where we keep marriage real, fun, and fulfilling. It's an exciting episode today. We're doing something we call From Our Inbox, where we get to read some of the questions that you've sent to us, and then we talk about it. We probably answer the questions or just give you our perspective on some of the issues that are bothering y'all out there. So we'd like to encourage you, send your questions if you have some concerns, then we would be able to address it on the yellow couch.
We will do our best to do that, to respond to the questions. And of course, the answers are likely to be generalized just because you're not able to grill you further to get the details. So it's good to appreciate that situations can be very complex, but we'll be doing our best to respond to them given the information we get.
Awesome. So we'll start with your questions. The very first question today, and this comes from a gentleman, and he says, "We've been married for the last 6 years, blessed with 3 beautiful children. My concern is that my wife has always been very close to her father. Everything we agree in the home, she seems to take it to the dad for approval. I feel disrespected. What do I do?"
Wow. This is a very tricky one. First of all, congratulations for being in marriage for 6 years. That's no mean feat. That is good progress. Congrats that you have 3 kids. That's a blessing from God. And that you want to make things better. I believe that this gentleman wants things to be better. That's why he's asking this question. But my first thought is, have you shared this with your wife? Have you, had a conversation with her just to let her know how you feel about that situation? Because it's easy maybe to go back to her and lash out because she talked to her dad. But why does she do that? It's good to really get to understand that, because it's nice when someone has a good relationship with their parents, but there has to be boundaries when we shift into leaving and cleaving, because if she is going back to her dad for private matters within the marriage, she has not truly left her matrimonial home. In terms of emotionally, it doesn't mean that getting cut from your family, but there has to be a very clear boundary as to what can be shared with the larger family and what must be kept between the two of you. Because I agree, it's disrespectful if information is meant to be private between the two of you, that it should be kept as such. So my recommendation would be that you create time for you to be together. First, I believe you know your wife's love language. If you do not, it's time to find out, because if this marriage is to work, of course, you have to communicate love to her and get her attention, speak to her in her love language, create some space for the two of you to be together, and then start by appreciating her that, she stuck with you the 6 years. I'm sure there are some things she's doing right. She can't be all wrong. Otherwise, you would not have picked her. Express your gratitude for her being your wife, and then just say, you want to bring up this issue that has really been bothersome, and speak from a point of not attacking her for being reckless or just being, not caring. Just say that every time you do this, it makes me feel disrespected. Just speak what you truly feel. And sometimes you'll be surprised when she finally realizes how you feel without you coming out as really angry, and suggest how you'd want her to do things moving forward. I hope that is going to help you, and I hope she has some brain in her head enough to make her realize that it hurts you and she wants to make things better and stop the habit that is hurting your relationship. I pray that things work out well for you, and I wish you all the best.
All right. Esigal has been very soft and diplomatic about this this particular issue. I think I'll be a bit more blunt.
Go for it.
You know, as a surgeon, we know that sometimes to get health, we have to cut tumors out, and it's painful when we are cutting out part of the body to get rid of disease. But that's what we do. We open chests of people, we cut into the heart. But sometimes that is a healing journey. So on this particular one, I would say this. Once you get married, once you make that commitment and say, I do, you have formed a new family. It's important to realize that. The family, your dad's family is his family. Mm-hmm. But now you're part of a new family. I know in our Kenyan culture, many times when people are getting married, you go to the girl's place and say, oh, you know, we are gaining a son into this family. Or you go to the boy's place and say, oh, we are gaining a daughter. But that is actually not true. The truth is you're starting a new family. And that family unit must be respected by all. When you live and cleave to your partner, you form a new unit, and there must be hard and fast boundaries. Mm-hmm. It is extremely disrespectful for a lady to take back to her dad issues that are being discussed with her own partner. This lady needs to grow up. This lady needs
Are you saying he married a kid?
Yes. This lady needs to grow up. Part of maturity is letting go of our parents' hands and clinging on to the hand of our partner. That is just part of the maturity that marriage requires. So unfortunately, this lady is behaving in a very immature manner, and I would say she needs to grow up, let go of her dad's hand, hold fast to the husband's hands, and then forge through life together. At some point, on these in-law issues, we have to be honest and say, in-laws will only interfere as far as we allow. The truth is, the problem is never with the in-laws. The problem is with us as partners, as spouses, because we are the ones to set the boundaries. They'll come in as far as we allow. So I usually say, we do not have in-law problems. We have spouse problems. If there are issues from Esther's side, she is the one to set the boundaries. Mm-hmm. If there are issues from my side, I am the one to set the boundaries. And we must be bold enough to set boundaries, because when it comes to marriage, God first, then your spouse is next. It's crucial to understand covenant. Marriage is a covenant, and covenant is deeper than blood. Mm. I've heard people saying, you know, your husband is not really your your blood relation, or your wife is not really your blood relation. In essence, meaning that your sisters and your parents, you are more deeply related to them than you are your spouse. I think that that statement reeks of crazy ignorance of the depth of a covenant relationship. In God's eyes, there is no deeper relationship than a covenant relationship.
Absolutely.
In fact, when you get married, God considers you to be one thing. Mm-hmm. Such that the scriptures say, if you have issues between you, don't even go and pray, because God will not hear your prayers because you've not treated your spouse right. That is in the scriptures. So it's crucial to look at marriage as you are one. Everyone else is external, including your parents, including your children. Your spouse must come first, then everybody else later. So for me, that is a black and white. And when you step out of that, you're disrespecting the marital union.
There you have it.
I'm sorry for being very black and white about that specific issue.
I believe it will help.
Yeah. All right. Question number 2. This is a lady. She is saying, good evening. My marriage has always been having issues of infidelity. And when I ask, he turns the blame on me. It has really affected my inner peace. What should I do? Kindly help.
Okay. This is habitual sin. This is not even someone who has strayed. It's infidelity. Like it's an ongoing process.
It's a lifestyle.
First of all, I have to now remind you that I'm a medical doctor. And the thing is that with infidelity, there's a big risk to your health. I mean, with infidelity, there's HIV out there, the other sexually transmitted diseases, there's hepatitis, there's just so many other things. And besides the emotional damage that it does. So for someone to tolerate it, like it's habitual, someone comes and even has the audacity to blame it on you. It's I don't know. I don't know how to put this, but the thing is that you're being taken for granted. You are you've allowed yourself to be treated like a doormat. I'm sorry to say, but because you have tolerated, people will always keep doing what you tolerate. What you tolerate, you have accepted. I am sorry to make you feel blamed, but the thing is that you've shown your partner that you're okay with it. One, I am a believer in the word of God, in the Bible. And of course, if there's one area in which a partner is allowed to go separate ways and even to divorce, is in the case of infidelity. I am not advocating for divorce, but the thing is that even the scripture acknowledges this would be a basis to go separate ways. But I know there are couples that have been able to walk through this, but there has to be willingness from the offending partner to actually repent of their ways. And repenting means that someone turns and changes and reforms and lives differently. It cannot be that they are doing this habitually. Now, if you want to separate yourself, I already said that there's even a risk of you getting infected with other diseases that are out there. The thing is that sometimes you can go separate ways for a time and see whether, and go through therapy and see whether this person is willing to change. So, because the more you continue staying in and you're being, your concerns that you raise are not being given the attention that they deserve, maybe stepping out might capture the attention of this person. And so I would say that look for a counselor, think through things that they can help you process this, because it's damaging your emotions. Your kids, if you have kids, probably have even noticed what's going on. And they're also getting damaged by the injuries, the emotional injuries that you're going through. So there's no simple answer to this, but I think by you tolerating this, you're kind of enabling your partner to continue with the lifestyle of infidelity. So you have to think about protecting yourself. You have to think about your well-being. You have to think about the well-being of your kids, and actually even decide and before you choose which direction to take, let your partner know that you cannot take this anymore. There has to be like a hard stop to some things and say, I cannot take this anymore, and so I'm going to take some time off for this duration or whatever. But it's not as simple. I know it's not a simple thing to work through, but get the support that you can and see how you can move forward. But really, you're hurting yourself.
Yeah, this is a tough one. And just start by, in the spirit of empathy, saying sorry about what you're going through. I know it really hurts deeply when somebody walks all over your deepest emotions in this manner. Infidelity is betrayal at the deepest level. And we have seen people, what it has done to their emotional state, no? And the very core of who someone is, literally somebody's identity. Someone questions identity. They're like, didn't someone find me enough? Doesn't my spouse find me enough that they decided to step out of the marital bed and seek satisfaction elsewhere? So it hurts very, very deeply, and we know that, and we appreciate that, and so sorry about that. Then I really want to echo what Esigal has said, because it's so important to not only respect your partner, but to respect yourself. Because there are things that when we allow, essentially we are saying we do not really respect ourselves. Many times we realized the people who allow this to happen and tolerate and live with it at a deep personal level, there is a very huge void where you almost feel like if I move away or if I go away from this person, nobody else will accept me, nobody else will validate me, nobody else will receive me the way I've been received by this person who's actually hurting you. We've actually noticed there are many people ladies who've watched their own mothers go through the pain of betrayal. Subconsciously, they again choose men who do exactly the same to them. So those wounds are carried on from generation to generation, but because they are familiar wounds, they are owned wounds, such that people almost feel like, I deserve this. That is why I like what you said about the hard stop, because there has to be a point where you say, I know myself, I value myself, I deserve better, and this cannot continue. There is a fantastic book written by James Dobson. I read it when I was a very young man, and I've come to love it, and I go through it over. There are revised copies now. It was titled "Love Must Be Tough," essentially meaning when the line of respect has been crossed in a relationship, there have to be consequences. If there are no consequences when the line of respect is crossed, it means that your partner can treat you, like you said, as a doormat, meaning they don't value you anymore. Mm-hmm. They're like, I've done this and she's still here. Well, there are no consequences. So love must be tough. There have to be consequences to certain actions. So I love the idea of a separation. We're not saying that people are getting divorced, but sometimes you need to separate yourself from a person and seek help at that point. If at that point someone is not willing to reconcile, someone is not willing to turn around, somebody is not willing to change their lifestyle, it means they can have no place in your precious heart. And there has to be a point in which we look at ourselves and say, I, as a child of God, valued by God, deserve better. And there are ways in which people can walk with you that journey. I know a lot of ladies say, I'm staying for the children. But you hurt the children more when they watch you go through that deep emotional pain over and over and over and over again. The last thing I'd like to say, and this is to the cheating spouse. Many times it's the men, but these days the ladies are doing it almost as much.
But again, men cheat with women. So there are two parties involved here.
Yeah, absolutely. When you stray from your marital bed, the thing you're doing to a very sacred relationship. In Proverbs 2, the woman is addressed, and God saying, you have broken the covenant that was made in my presence. But in Malachi, the man is addressed. We are saying, God again says to the man, you've broken the covenant with the wife of your youth. So when you do that, in God's eye, you're breaking covenant. And there's nothing worse than breaking covenant. But on the flip side, the journey back, when you've been unfaithful to your spouse, and you're working at things, you're trying to get things back to normal, it's good to realize that things will never get back to where they are. That is the truth. Once trust is broken, things can never get back to normal. But the relationship can be mended, the relationship can heal, and it's now the responsibility of the offending spouse. If you cheated on your spouse, you have to be willing now to be questioned more. You can't say, to be accountable more. Because that is the path. You did this. So you have to own that and understand that your spouse might take time. It's not an easy process. It takes time, but it is doable. The whole concept of the cross is a reconciliatory message. Therefore, we know that yes, indeed, spouses can get back together, you can heal, and you can walk that journey. But if one spouse is not willing, especially if the offending spouse is not willing to change, then there is really no relationship that you're trying to keep together at that point.
Now that you brought the issue of the offending spouse who is willing maybe to have the marriage redeemed, then truly they have to allow themselves to be an open book, to be very accountable, to, your phone has to be accessible. There are links that you have to cut. If there's company that you kept of people who encourage you towards that lifestyle of infidelity, those are relationships that you have to sever. If there are places that you used to go that put you at risk, those are places you must stop going. You have to be willing to answer where you are at whatever point, because if you don't become accountable, then there's no way you're going to be able to rebuild trust. There's no way you're going to rebuild your relationship. The other thing is that you also need someone to walk with you in that journey. Maybe you have to grow new friends or people who are really willing to, who believe in the sanctity of marriage and who are willing to walk with you, hold you accountable, and support you in the journey of rebuilding your marriage.
Yep. Yeah. Actually, there's one gentleman that I've, been working with, and he had cheated on his spouse. The lady found out and they had a very terrible period, but now they are rebuilding their relationship. And he told me one of the first things he did was to cut off all his former friends, literally just cold turkey, cut off all his former friends, because these were the people that were encouraging his habits. So there have to be drastic actions taken if you're going to have different results.
Yeah, but it's possible.
It's doable. All right. Now to our last question. And somebody is asking, how do you handle the issue of phones in your marriage? I feel like it is tearing our marriage apart. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'd say, of course, technology is good, and in this digital space, there are so many apps, so many things that can take a lot of our time, and we cannot run away from that. It's the reality we live in. But phones can affect the marriage in a couple of ways. One of which is that you can be so engrossed on your phone that you really don't get to spend time together. I mean, we've been to restaurants where you see a group of young people or even a family or a couple, they've come out, you'd assume to spend time together, but they are all on their phones, and so phones can actually steal from your marriage and steal your time, that you're so busy keeping up with everyone else online, but the person who is close to you, you keep tabs with people online, but you're not keeping, in touch with the person who is physically right there with you. Then the other thing is that in the digital space, I mean, a lot can be happening. There are people who have gotten hooked onto, flirting, pornography, and so many other things that could be going on online. So they slowly shift you from your marriage to being obsessed with these other lifestyle online. And that's actually a big issue. And we've gotten a lot of questions regarding such like occurrences whereby, someone's spouse starts flirting with other people online, exchanging, reels and memes and other things, and things can slide on to becoming, physical affairs and that kind of thing. So how do we handle this issue of phones? And of course, every couple has to address their issues, their unique situation, and see how that can actually be handled and ensure that it's not affecting your marriage. For us, we create that transparency between us, that I know Keith's passcode to his phone, he knows mine. And let me say that this does not mean that nothing wrong can occur just because you can access each other's phone. It's really it's foolhardy to imagine that you can actually police anyone into faithfulness. So the thing is that I trust Keith to have the character to be faithful to me. He trusts me to have the character to be faithful to him. That's a personal thing. That's my commitment to God more than even to Keith himself. And I believe the same of him. So the thing is that you can't police each other into faithfulness. But the thing is, as human beings, just having that accountability takes away the secrecy, because sin grows in darkness. just the way the baby grows in the womb from a fetus, from a zygote to a morula to a fetus, and then finally is born in that darkness of the womb and eventually comes out. Sin has a way of germinating and growing in darkness. But when you bring things into the light, when everything is open and exposed, you're less likely to fall into traps. So just knowing that, hey, there's nothing that's secret. So dudes, when you're inboxing me these crazy messages, my husband could be the one reading them. That's just that, But interestingly, I never get the time. I just don't have that time to comb through Kit's phone to see who is sending him messages or not. And he hardly even touches my phone to read those things. But just having transparency is just fair enough. But you have to choose to be faithful. You have to choose to use your phone wisely. You have to choose not to have your phone steal time from your spouse or from your family. Be wise. We have limits, and going to bed, we switch off our phones or keep them away. Of course, we are medical doctors and sometimes we are on call, and so we have to have our phones with us even in the bedroom. But the thing is that you have to set limits for your well-being, for the well-being of your marriage and that of your family.
Yep, fully endorsed. Yeah, I think that's that concept of openness, nothing to hide. It's good to have that. It will keep you from a lot of trouble. But beyond that, also in terms of really embracing purpose, because the more you embrace your purpose, the more it's clear to you what you are on earth to do. The more you are obsessed with your assignment and impact in the world, the less you are enticed by the little things, the little distractions that are out there, because you're so focused on what you're trying to do. I like this idea, the ladies these days, they like talking of the woman I am becoming. Yeah. But, sometimes you're truly more engrossed in the person you are becoming, the process of growth, personal development, pursuit of your goals, the greatness within that you're exploring, that there are a lot of distractions that they don't find space in you. So I think technology, as you said, is amazing, but it's a great distraction. Somebody said that the greatest skill of this century is the ability to focus. Mm-hmm. Because every time you go on YouTube, there'll be pop-ups left, right, and center. So the ability to focus, or the discipline to focus, is what will separate people from the mediocre to the great. And so for us, that is the way we look at it. No secrets, nothing to hide, but also using technology to focus on our purpose. What is it that the phones, the technology can help us with, so that we achieve the reason we are here on earth?
Yeah, algorithms are a good thing. So if let's say you're listening to a podcast, what's likely to pop next is a similar podcast. So if you use technology well, it's going to work for your advantage. But if you're all over the place looking at all sorts of crazy things, then you'll get more of the crazy things. So utilize technology well, and it's going to serve you well.
Sawa. We're going to leave it at that. We love this particular segment. We call it From Your Inbox, from our inbox. So if you have questions, suggestions, you have comments, drop them at our inbox and we will be able to follow that up. Also, it's important for you to be part of our family. So like, subscribe, join the community, share, let people know, so that together we can change the narrative around marriage. Thank you so much. God bless.
Enjoy your marriage.